NEPM's podcasts are funded by Armbrook Village, offering research-based arts, music, fitness, and lifelong learning programs at their assisted living and Alzheimer's care community in Westfield. armbrookvillage.com.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, Happy Cow Stories.
Yay!
We'll head to Hadley to get a couple of licks in with the family behind Flayvors of Cook Farm and hear how they've kept their head of award-winning dairy cows happy for 115 years, and when the ice cream-hungry public crept into that picture.
We'll also hear from Naefia Padi and Emmanuel Owusu of Unity Hearts Foundation, who will be putting on the African Community Festival this weekend in Springfield to celebrate all of the continent's diaspora, as well as others who'll be helping the event happen.
Even better that we're talking about this on Jamaican Independence Day.
Hear, hear. But first, we take you from Ashfield to Michigan to a galaxy far, far away.
We are joined in the studio by Mensah Sylvester, an Anishinaabe, multidisciplinary storyteller, actor, musician, songwriter, playwright, beater, living in Ashfield, Massachusetts. Born in New Orleans, grew up in Michigan, Mensah holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from Lake Superior State University.
She is a Miranda Family Fellow through the National Theater Institute and an Art and Survival Fellow through Double-Edged Theater in Ashfield and Betty's Daughters Arts Collective.
Mensah is an ensemble member through Double-Edged Theater, who we got to see in the Summer Spectacle just a couple weeks ago, which is technically sold out, but there's still a waiting list, so there's always a chance. And an emerging Native artist through the Okateo Cultural Center, where she also works in community advocacy. And for our purposes today, Mensah Sylvester is C3PO. Bum, ba, ba, ba. I was so excited when I got this email from Mensah, who I've been lucky enough to know for a couple of years now. With your work with Okateo, work with Double-Edged Theater, we got to see you as a bear, right? Is that what you were at?
Yes, I was
you were
a bear.
Incredible, growling around as the animals come to life in the Summer Spectacle. But when you said that you are in the Ojibwe dub of Star Wars: A New Hope, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Tell us how you became involved in this Ojibwe dub, which is brand new, right?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay!
So I first saw the audition call, I think it was early last year sometime, and I was like, that would be pretty much a dream role if I could get either Princess Leia. I was going to go for either Princess Leia or C3PO.
Uh-huh.
C3PO more at the top of the list. I wasn't sure because I'm not a fluent speaker, and I wasn't sure if they were looking for fluent speakers, although I've been on my language learning journey basically since I was being brought up, because my mother would speak Anishinaabe in the household, and I would learn from that. And
Your mom, who's in the studio
she's
right now.
right here. Hello, Margaret. So after some thought, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to audition. I think this would be a good way to push myself in, learning more and kind of like an intensive period to get more of the language down for myself. And I think that's what it takes for us to keep our language alive. It's very important to us. It's a huge part of who we are. So I was going to audition, but then I missed the deadline. So I was like, well, I guess it was meant to be. I just let it go. But then after the deadline, I get an email from somebody from the Star Wars working crew over in Canada, and they were like, hey, Mensah, we saw, you submitted this form, and we know it's late, but do you still want to audition? And I was like, no way.
Yes.
So I was like, there's still a chance. Okay. So then I was like, yes, of course. So this was super quick, and it was Ellen Epcar, who's the director of this. We were emailing back and forth. She was like, just send me a quick clip. Oh, and they were asking for C3PO specifically. I was like, no way. I was just like, pinch me. Are you kidding me right now? So sent a clip to her somehow. I don't remember if it was through Instagram or email or something. And she's like, okay. And I think a day or two passed, not a lot of time. And I got the email saying, congratulations, you've been cast as the role of C3PO. And I had to read it a few times because I almost didn't believe it.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the office at Double-Edged Theater, and there was one other person, my coworker Hannah, in the office. And I was like, Hannah, read this.
Does it say what I think it says?
Is this real? And we both just started screaming and like jumping up and down. I was like, what? So that's how that came to be. That's how I got to be involved. And so then after that, it was a lot of, studying. And I mean, I was studying anyways, but, more in depth because there were some new words in there. Not new words, but there were some words like the word for lightsaber, for instance. We obviously don't have a word for that. So it was breaking down the language in such a way where I knew what they were talking about was certain things that I didn't quite recognize as the word. But it was nice because they had the sheet with the English and then the Anishinaabemowin translation, so it was all connected in.
Did they have full table reads with the full cast?
No.
No?
So did you had to record all your parts separately, and then they
Yes.
put them all together?
My goodness, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did they ever get to talk to you about the impetus for making an Ojibwe translation for the movie?
The language, like I mentioned before, is very important to us, and it's on the endangered language list. So there's efforts all over the place to revitalize the language because it's such a big part of who we are. Specifically in Ojibwe, because we're one of the largest groups in Canada and in the United States of Native people. I could talk for days about why this is so important. But one thing I will say is the reason, there's many reasons why I am continuing to learn the language and wanted to learn the language in the first place is because it shapes our realities of who we are as people. It changes your whole thought process as opposed to English. For instance, we don't really have a word for reality, so to speak. The closest word that we have is Bamadzawin, which is the word for life. And so I went down a whole rabbit hole after talking with my mother, because she's the one that told me this. I was like, what's the word for reality? Surely there is one, because I was trying to figure that out for a different piece I was working on. And she's like, there's not one. The closest we have is the word life. And so this rabbit hole led me to basically another stage of having a desire to learn this more. Of course, there was no word for reality back then because we didn't have all this confusion around us like we do now. Like, I think we're in an age of confusion, so to speak. The Ojibwe language is really important, I think, for us to bring to the forefront to help us understand things. There's also a relational aspect to the language. For instance, there's not a lot of objects. So when you look at a tree, it's not just a resource. It's not just something to extract from just for ourselves. It's a living being, and it has a spirit. And so that's where reciprocity comes into play and all this other stuff.
That ties in nicely to the Force
Yes,
concept, too.
exactly.
When you hear about that in Star Wars, they're talking about, the energy between me and the tree and the rock.
You must feel the Force around you. Here, between you, me, the tree, the rock.
And we are talking to C-3PO herself from the Ojibwe dub of Star Wars A New Hope.
So in Double Edge...
Samantha Sylvester, who's an emerging artist at Okiteu and part of the ensemble at Double Edge Theater in Ashfield.
Double Edge does very immersive, very interactive theater, and voice acting is basically kind of removed from literally all of that. How did you feel in the shift of doing voice work as opposed to regular, or rather your regular theater work?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was so interesting. So I first had a call with Ellen, who's the director of this piece, and I was telling her more about the work that I do with Double Edge Theater and the physical work and everything. She's like, this is great. We ended up trying, I was basically moving like a robot, like C-3PO would. And she's like, do that, but then say the lines. I was like, okay. And she's like, you're going to have to do that because that works.
Curse my metal body, it's all my fault.
I remember being in the studio, which I'd never been in a studio like that before. It was really neat. And they had the screen in front of you, the microphone, very specific with the microphone. You can't move in any one, a centimeter off, and you're
we try to make people behave in this studio too, but we're a lot more loosey-goosey about
Monty. So it was funny because she couldn't see inside because it's all blocked around. There's just a little window in there. She'd come on the headphones. She'd be like, Samantha, are you doing your movement? Are you doing your movement while you're saying the line? I was like, no, I dropped it for a second. And she's like, I can tell.
Oh my! What have you done? I'm backwards.
There was really a lot of connection and crossover because the other thing is that when we were speaking the Ojibwe lines, it wasn't spoken like how we would speak it in our community. It was spoken with sort of an English cadence. So that was something else that they brought me in for, is because I'm an actor, this is what I study and have been studying, that I could easily sort of move through that, engage what that meant and how to do it.
Did all the actors use that English cadence, or did
Yes.
you have to use it because you were a robot?
Everyone had to do it.
That must have been an interesting
Yes.
kind of take on this language that has
Yes.
its own life and breath.
Exactly.
And that was
Yes.
intentional.
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Why? So that people who were not used to the Ojibwe language would relate to it more? Because, I mean, you would assume that Ojibwe people would want to hear it in the language and rhythm of the language itself.
Or is it to use it more as like a teaching tool for people who are more accustomed to the cadence of English learning Ojibwe, so they hear it in an English way and get more accustomed to the language?
That was my take on it, because one of the purposes of this specific project is to be a teaching tool. So that was my take on it.
Later in the show, celebrating the African diaspora right here in Springfield with the African Community Festival, also heading to Hadley to get the scoop on the cows at Flayvors of Cook Farm.
But up next, how you can see the Ojibwe dub of Star Wars, what lessons were gleaned from immersing in the language with the voice of C-3PO herself, Tamantha Sylvester, and a little language course correction with her mom.
You're listening to The Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Tamantha, will you grace us with your interpretation of C-3PO in Ojibwe?
Yes, I'll do my favorite line. Mia pan, which means we're doomed.
We're speaking with Tamantha Sylvester, who lives in Asheville and is C-3PO in the Ojibwe dub of Star Wars: A New Hope. You mentioned that, you had to create words. This is, I don't want to call it sci-fi. I believe Star Wars to be space fantasy, but it is imaginative in its language, both for English speakers and whatever language you're going to put it into. Do you remember how to say lightsaber in Ojibwe?
Monty, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Do you remember any of the lines that stuck out to you as like the way that you said it in Ojibwe is something that people would know and remember if they've seen it in English before?
Ooh. The only one that's sticking out right now is the word Princess Leia. It's Ogimalquez Leia, which Ogimalquez is like warrior, and then Quez is woman. But then the ans on the end of that is like a diminutive sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's princess, not the queen, but the princess.
We're getting a official correction on the record from Tamantha's mother, Jackie. You are saying that the translation of Princess Leia, which is
Ogimalquez Leia,
is not necessarily warrior Leia. It is what?
A warrior is Ogichidawa. Ogichida. And leader is, Gama is our leader. Like you would call a chief. We don't call him chief. It's Ogama. And so a warrior is Ogichida.
So it's more like leader Leia.
Yeah.
yes.
Like little leader Leia.
Yeah,
Little
because
leader
it's
Leia.
got that diminutive and the,
Right.
Because to be a warrior is very important to have all the right characteristics in our culture.
What does it feel like for you to know that your daughter is going to be part of this huge cultural preservation of this language?
I was ecstatic when she finally told me and told me, you can't tell anybody. You can't tell me. How do I not tell anybody? Unbeknownst to her, there was just a select few that I had to share with.
I don't know anybody like that at
Tell
all.
the important people the secrets they need to know.
So in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, there was just a very few people, very, very few people. And we're ecstatic. So as my mom, who spent time in a Native orphanage and wasn't allowed to speak the language, my two sisters and I went back to learn the language, and I stuck it out for the 4 years. There was a lot of words that was Ojibwe she just didn't know that was in French, because the French changed a lot of our words.
Yeah.
But then we got them back. But this is extremely important, and it's just, I commend Disney for doing this, because being Indian is very difficult to have people support you.
Yeah.
And George Lucas Productions and stuff. So I think this might lead to something really expansive and inclusive of all of our people all over the United States. So everybody is looking for it. We have people. She said we need a lot of legs to get out there and, plead to Disney. So I told her we've got lots of legs going on. No, I'm very excited to hear the words that are being used. Because fluent speakers were their teachers. And in Canada, you have more fluent speakers than you do in the States, because when the wars happened, we could not do language, but we could do some ceremony. Whereas in Canada, they couldn't do ceremony, but they could do language. So we traded back and forth to this day.
Interesting.
Huh.
So it's wonderful. So I'm very, very proud of Tamantha and how she tries to perfect her craft, and whether I like whatever she does or I don't like is not my place to say. It's her craft, and she does it to the best of her ability. So I'm extremely proud of her. And what I love most of all is she keeps everything in a perspective of priorities with respect to everyone. And she doesn't try to grab the limelight or anything. She shares it with everyone. That's the first thing people tell me about her. She's so kind. So I just say, thank you.
Oh, dang.
What was your relationship to this movie before you auditioned to be C-3PO in the Ojibwe dub of Star Wars: A New Hope? Were you a big Star Wars fan?
Yeah. So I remember my family growing up with it. I remember being fascinated with the landscapes, if that makes, or the spacescapes.
Yeah. Some land, too.
Something like that. And the characters R2-D2 and C-3PO specifically, and Chewbacca. Chewie's pretty good. I was never like a fanatic, but I definitely enjoy Star Wars, especially because my, I think this somehow connects. My native name is Naefia Padi, which is Dancing Star Woman.
Oh,
So,
come on.
Yeah.
How could they not cast you for this?
I know.
Your mom looking in the background like, it was fate.
Why C-3PO?
Oh, gosh. I have a thing for quirky characters and sort of like a lot of these what you would consider, I guess, side characters. I don't see him that way, but
I think he's the only one that appears in every single Star Wars movie. So you could have a lengthy career
look
ahead
at
of
that.
you.
Oh my
Samantha.
goodness. Woo!
Both droids are in every movie.
But the thing is that it's Anthony Daniels as the actor,
Yes. Right.
and his voice is in every movie.
Yes.
Right.
So yeah, if you
So,
were R2-D2, you
listen.
could beep up. Yeah.
See what that sounds like in Ojibwe. Oh my goodness. But yeah, something that was also drew me to C-3PO was the calling for a female specific actor for C-3PO. I was like, that's interesting. Are you saying I could play the C-3PO as myself? So I think that was a powerful move on many parts as well.
How did working in the cast change how you approach speaking the language now?
You move like a robot the whole time you try to speak in
Yes.
a good way.
Only when she's 3PO. That's method. It's method.
She-3PO. I think you said that by accident, but we should do that from now
That
on.
is good. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. The thing that changed the most about this experience was that it pushed me further in my skills.
We all know that one of the main tools of oppression is to steal a language from their people. The fact that you are now part of what is one of the biggest movies of all time in an effort to preserve this language that was stolen from your people and that you have been striving your life and your mom who's here's life to preserve.
And that it's only been about 50 years that it's been legal to teach?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that the importance and the weight of what you have created now, do you feel proud?
I do. Yes. Oh my goodness. I think I feel more hopeful than proud because, we always talk about the youth and how important it is for the youth to see these things and hear representation, see representation, and be able to know that that's possible. But it's also important, I think, for the rest of the generations before us because they weren't allowed to do this. They would be punished or it just wasn't legal, as wild as that is to even think about or say. And so I think it's important in the way of reclaiming and saying that, this is needed.
I've been talking to Lucasfilm and trying to get a dub of this for myself to experience and to maybe get some clips of you. This is not currently the Ojibwe dub of Star Wars: A New Hope, starring Samantha Sylvester as C-3PO, not currently available anywhere in the United States, right? So where can people experience this?
Is it finished? Or?
So it is. It is.
Okay.
But we are on the move. Those of us in the States are on the move to try to bring it to theaters. I know that as of right now, there are some theatrical releases set in, I think, Minnesota. But that's really all I know. So we're trying to get it over here on the East Coast.
Is it being widely screened in Ojibwe in Canada?
Yes, all over the place in Canada.
Disney now owns all the Star Wars stuff. Can I go to Disney Plus and select Ojibwe as one of the languages and hear it that way at home?
Yes, you will be able to do that.
But not yet.
Not yet.
Oh.
Not yet. Sometime in the fall.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
That's
sometime
great.
in the fall. Yes.
Yeah. But I would like to see it in a theater in Ojibwe, and we were talking earlier about wouldn't it be cool, because so many people have seen this movie a million times, to have it just in Ojibwe, no English subtitles beneath it, and just experience it in that language. I think it would be a phenomenal experience for people.
It'd be powerful.
Yeah. They should give you a C-3PO metal suit. Then you really would, be moving.
That's so funny that you say that. I was this close to getting one or finding one or painting my body gold in some way and just going places.
Congratulations on this. It's an exciting story. It's an exciting thing that Lucasfilm has done here for the Ojibwe language, and I hope we get to see it on a big screen around here soon.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Miigwech.
I wish I knew how to say "May the Force be with you" in Ojibwe.
Giga Mingos.
We are still hopeful that we can get a local screening of this version in the 413 at some point.
If only we knew people with theater access.
Or someone a little closer to someone of import at Disney.
Then hopefully we'll have a chance to see it on something bigger than your average TV screen, the way that Star Wars was meant to be enjoyed, we'd argue.
On the way, we'll celebrate the African diaspora with a festival that is all 413 with folks from the Unity Hearts Foundation.
But up next, happy cow stories and sweet frozen treats of summer with Debbie and Gordy Cook of Flayvors at Cook Farm.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, offering co-op advantage checking with cash back on all purchases, plus secure debit card controls, all from the UMass 5 mobile banking app. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop. NEPM's podcasts are funded by Armbrook Village Senior Living in Westfield, with support services designed to help seniors age in place, including a Compass Memory Support Neighborhood. More at armbrookvillage.com.
We do have to ask about the asparagus ice cream.
Yes. You were at the Asparagus Festival with the Asparagus Ice Cream, I believe?
Yes.
The NEPM Asparagus Festival, shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
But did that start before the Asparagus Festival? You were still making that before?
Yeah.
I want to feel like we're the reason, but to know that we're not is somehow relieving.
It's liberating.
And I have to tell you, it also started long before the term Hadley grass had a different kind of a meaning.
It's time for another local hero spotlight with Phil Corman from CISA, who has now finally announced to the public he's stepping down from CISA, and our adventures with him are going to be coming to an end.
He can still come if he wants to. I'm just saying.
I think he should still come.
We already set a precedent.
We love
What else are you going to do with your time?
We've known about...
Help cows cross the road.
Yeah. How did the cow cross the road? We're going to get to that in just a second. But yeah, congratulations on this, and we love you.
Thank you so much, Monty. It's been a fun 12 years of talking with you with a microphone in my face.
Yeah. And going on adventures like this at Flayvors of Cook Farm in Hadley. And we're with Debbie Cook and Gordy Cook. Gordy is Debbie's father-in-law. Gordy, you're the farmer here. How long you been farming at Cook Farm?
Oh, I guess for quite a while. I mean, I've done other things in my life as well, but growing up, I grew up, the farm has been here. This is, I'm the third generation on the farm, and my grandfather bought this farm in 1909. I started my life here in 1945, but as I grown up on the farm and then did other things for a while and been back on the farm here for a long time, full-time, and now I say full-time. If my son was here and I said we, he would ask if he had a mouse in his pocket. My son, he's Gordon III, but he's Hank. He's Hank to everybody, and he's the main farmer that takes care of the cows and all, and I do what I can, and when I cost them too much money, I break in stuff, they're going to lay me off.
Hank is literally milking the cows right now, right?
He is, yes.
And that's what Cook Farm is, if you don't know. It's a dairy farm.
It is, yep.
And the flavors part is the ice cream part of the dairy farm.
Yes, to help the dairy farm.
Yeah. So we are in the beautiful farm store where the ice cream is served and where people will be in here eating their sundaes, and you can get all sorts of farm-related, cow-related gifts.
And snacks and things. There's a whole lot here. There's more than just like the ice cream, too.
And that is an essential part of agro-business at this point, right? Where we've heard so many stories about dairy farms and how hard it is for small dairy farms to operate. When did Flayvors show up as part of a way to supplement the income of the dairy farm?
Back in 1997, my mother-in-law decided that she was done with milking cows, and she decided she would prefer to be scooping ice cream.
Uh-huh.
So she put her dream into action. She went for a grant, a farm viability grant, and that grant is what was the momentum behind Flayvors getting started.
Flayvors is spelled with an extra Y. Why?
Flayvors is spelled Flayvors, and we do that in honor of Favor, who was a cow that we had here.
Spelled Fayvor. The cow was a Holstein. She's a cow that I found one day. I was trying to pick cattle for a sale. We used to have a Hampshire Franklin regional sale here. And I found this cow and I said, oh no, we can't put that one in the sale. She's our elevation, we're blah, blah, blah. And she wasn't a young cow. But I said, well, if you can't put her in the sale, maybe you could buy her. And he priced her to me for a lot of money, and I made him what I thought was a lot of money, but a lesser offer. And I came back there 2 weeks later with a trailer, and he said, what are you doing back here? I said, I came to pick up the cow. And the father told the sons, he wants her really bad, maybe he'll make something out of her, we'll let her go. And she'd never been classified like we classify all our cows, but she came here and she was special. She was the first cow we ever flushed or superovulated and had extra young stock from. She ended up having 13 daughters here, 9 of which were excellent. The other 4 were very good. She had a son named Cook Farm Starbuck Flip that we used.
Great name.
That we used a lot. In fact, he got used internationally. We sold semen to Europe, Canada, United States.
Super sperm.
He wasn't a high milk bull, but he could make them right. He could make them last. And that's what a lot of people want, is they wanted cattle that would last. And the Flips did, and his components were great. Flayvors components were off the charts. It was a great investment, and when Hank got out of college and came back on a farm, we thought, well, how are we going to do that? He wasn't married at that time.
The family needed to figure out, how do you support 2 families? People always think, oh, you just hand off the farm, but there's a transition time of a generation involved. And oftentimes the older generation is thinking, how do I invest in this farm so that the next generation can do even better than we have done?
And I said, well, we're probably not going to around here be able to buy any more land to feed more cows. And she says, well, we could do what I always wanted. I knew it was an ice cream stand. Trust me, I envisioned a double wide trailer, pop a few holes in it for windows and move on. Well, as you can see, this post and beam building, and after the building got built and the equipment got in, I say it, my daughter hates to hear me say this, but we were so poor we couldn't pay attention. But this store and this ice cream stand, it'll be our legacy.
We can look out these beautiful big windows now.
See all the cows.
See the cows. How many cows do you have?
I think my son is milking right now about 55 cows, but we have probably more like 155 animals on the farm. And our cows are registered Holsteins or registered Jerseys, with a caveat that we do use some beef semen.
Beef stroganoff.
And we do have some crossbred beef animals coming along that are either Holstein Wagyu or Holstein Angus cross, or Jersey Wagyu, Jersey Angus. Maybe a quarter of our cows are bred that way. Everybody else in that pen, you see, registered Jersey calves and registered Holstein calves and heifers. That's my granddaughter, Debbie's youngest. They have 5 children, and they're all here on the farm. I have 11 grandchildren, but the 5 oldest ones are here. Girl Mary, girl Kirsten, girl Juliet, girl Annalise, and then Gordy, the 4th, is 20 years old. He graduated from Cobleskill in New York in the John Deere mechanic course, and he's working now for United Ag and Turf. He's stationed in Connecticut, but he comes up here, helps us fix things.
Fix things that you break, says Debbie.
Well, I'm not the only one that breaks.
What's the usefulness of introducing the beef strains into your dairy herd?
We wanted to be actively in selling beef here as well. It's been a good move. We sell quite a bit of beef here, and we do not really have the facilities to have an entirely separate beef herd, and so they integrate well with our other cattle.
Part of the reason that we're breeding a Holstein with a Wagyu is because the cow needs to have a calf to give milk.
Cows have to calve to lactate.
It's a twofold. We get a beef cow, but also we have a cow.
Are you using the milk from the Holstein and the Jerseys to make the ice cream, or what milk goes best with what ice cream?
I'm going to handle that, and I'm going to be straight honest, and I tell people this all the time. We at Cook Farm do not have enough capacity, septic capacity, to pasteurize our milk. Mm-hmm. We sell our milk and we buy back a mix from a dairy that makes a mix for us. And we're using a 16% fat mix. We have really high butterfat cows. In the month of November, we got paid for 5% fat milk. But there's a long way between 5% fat and 16% fat, and it's an awful lot of skim milk that we would not have a home for. So it's far more beneficial, and there's more efficacy for us to sell our milk and then buy back that mix. and then make everything that's made. All the ice cream is homemade here. We have a batch mixer. It's all mixed batch at a time. And we now have a brand new batch mixer. We had one with 50 years experience that decided to leave.
Pointing right at Phil.
My daughter-in-law, Deborah, and her second oldest daughter, Kirsten, make the ice cream. So it's all homemade here.
Lots of dairy farms are not set up to be selling directly to their consumers, so they're selling into Agrimark. Milk is coming throughout New England and Massachusetts. And when we're buying milk, not directly from a farm, we're often getting a great fluid product that is grown here in New England. But you can get raw milk from your farm.
Yes, you can. We used to ship direct until 2002 to Grelick Farms. When Grelick got taken over by DFA, my son, and we were going to have to join a co-op, my son thought he would really wanted to join Agrimark. Agrimark was closed to new membership, so we happened to ship our milk through DFA. We do sell raw milk here at the farm.
I love raw milk.
I only use it to make cheese.
My wife makes yogurt out of it, but I'll just drink it straight. I think it's delicious.
Yeah.
Tell us about the recipes for the ice cream. The Flayvors of Cook Farm here in Hadley. Who created the recipes? Who are new recipes coming all the time? And who's keeping an eye on that sort of thing?
We have new recipes all the time. My daughter Kirsten loves to take a suggestion and run with it, so she makes new flavors all the time. We have a woman that was a regular customer who thought the idea of coffee with Oreos in it would be a hit. And so we made it, and it's named after her. Her name was Sally. So we still have Sally's coffee grounds. Yeah, we just love to have fun. I went and did a taste testing event at the senior center here in town, and I asked them, what flavor would you love to see? And they came up with a bunch. And so I made mojito. That was one of the ones that they wanted. So I made that as an ice cream. And we love the connection. So I think that's part of the reason we do it. You know, I loved being able to give them a quart of mojito ice cream and thank you and pulling them into who we are.
Yeah.
And what are some of the other flavors that come through the harvest season for you here?
We love making our strawberry ice cream with the local strawberries. It depends on the season. Last year, I think we had a really short local season because that's the way the berries grew. This year was a bit longer, but still not as long as we'd love. We wish we could have it all year round. But it does make those seasonal times special. So we have honey ice cream from Warm Colors Apiary. But then there's a seasonal flavor that got named after me. It's called Debbie's Downfall because it was my downfall. It's salted caramel ice cream with gluten-free pretzels and sea salt caramel truffles. It's amazing.
What was the downfall that you just fell victim to eating this all the time? Or was there some other life tragedy that inspired this?
Ever since they found mad cow disease in the U.S., I'm not taking any chances.
No, I get the caramel right, and we just kept trying. There's a beer at abandoned building that's named the Blunder for kind of similar reasons.
Yeah.
No, this was one that I kept saying, oh no, I can't eat anymore. I can't eat anymore. And I would just keep going back. I could not stop eating it.
That sounds delicious.
She mentioned in that ice cream that there's gluten-free pretzels in it. Debbie and 4 of her 5 children are gluten intolerant, and she's very cognizant of that. And so she has a lot of things here that are gluten-free.
When you come here, you can take your ice cream and wander around and go visit the cows.
And we alluded to earlier that why did the cow cross the road? Why do the cows cross the road?
On the side of the farm where the store is, we have our milk cows and our young calves. After they're about 6 months old, they go across the street, and that's our heifer pasture. And when they're over there till they're about close to 2, and then when they're getting ready to have a calf, they're going to come back across the street. So getting these animals from one side to the other is an unplanned rodeo.
Ain't your first unplanned rodeo, I guess.
This road is no wider today than it was when I was growing up here. And when I was growing up here, my uncle, Uncle Arnold, had an ice cream stand. And if he sold a dozen ears of corn to everybody that went by, he wouldn't sell $100 worth a week. Now, you can't predict what the kind of traffic will be. We have to be careful. And every once in a while, no matter how much you try not to have it, cows get out. And that can be close to a circus, and I'm not usually an attendee in that anymore. There were the day when I was, but...
I feel like for people who haven't been here, could you tell the story of the flavor of Inez?
So on our farm sign, we have 2 cows. One is a Jersey, the brown cow. Her name is Ginger. And then we have a Holstein, and her name was Inez. So when Flayvors first started, we wanted to kind of pay tribute to both. So we have a flavor Ginger, and then of course we needed something for Inez. And it's like an Almond Joy. It's coconut ice cream with almonds and chocolate chips, but it's really just a way to pay tribute to her.
Both of those cows were respectively, the Holstein Inez was the 95-point cow. Ginger at the time was the 94 Jersey. They were our highest classified cows of the 2 respective breeds.
Do you still score, what's your highest scoring cow right now?
We still have a 95-point cow. Hank had a tremendous Jersey classification this year. We have had a couple of 95-point jerseys, but an 89 2-year-old is extremely rare. That's the highest they can score, and that's a first calf score. And Hank had a pair of half sisters this time go 80. One went 89, one went 88. Our herd is still in the top 20 in the whole United States on what they call a BAA, which is a breed age average score. I think we're somewhere around 112 and a half or something like that.
It's like the Olympics of cows.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't understand the scoring for most Olympic sports either.
14-9 for the second one, 15-3 for the average.
Was there ever a doubt, Mr. Flay?
We had 31 years in a row. We were premier breeder at the Massachusetts State Holstein Show. You know, you can say 31 real fast, but gosh, it was a long time doing it.
Yeah, that's a lot of years.
So Hank and I met, and we both had a similar personality trait in that whatever we're going to do it to the best of our ability. So it's something that we'll always be proud of. We both do our jobs with quality in mind. We want the best. And we push ourselves to do that. We both work long hours, but we do it because we want it to provide something that we're proud of. And we're so grateful for this community that allows us to do that.
And now that we have our sweet tooth satisfied, it's time to party with the whole Pan-African and Afro-Caribbean diaspora. We'll talk with the folks from the African Community Festival, which is happening on Saturday, up next.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
NEPM's podcasts are funded by Armbrook Village, offering research-based arts, music, fitness, and lifelong learning programs at their assisted living and Alzheimer's care community in Westfield. armbrookvillage.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, homegrown in Hatfield, Massachusetts, and providing energy savings for their customers for over 10 years. Learn more at northeast-solar.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. This just in, the Fabulous 413's own Gabby Thomas just won the gold. In other news, this Saturday, the African Community Festival is happening at the Marshall Roy Field in Springfield. The event celebrates the many peoples, traditions, and cultures of the Pan-African and Afro-Caribbean diaspora.
In addition to food and music, the event is doing a lot more to bring community together. And here to talk more about what will be happening this weekend are Naefia Padi, Emmanuel Owusu, and Georgina Mensah of Unity Hearts Foundation, the organization that is helming the festivities.
Also joining them are Latoy McDowell and her son Ali McDowell, as well as Doreen Dawes, the country coordinator for the Jamaica part of the festival. Are you the one with the Jamaican flag? Woohoo! It's Jamaican Independence Day. And lastly, Jammie Glen as a general coordinator.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
There's a lot of people in this studio right now.
More than we were initially expecting, but the more the merrier.
Yes.
Diversity.
I don't think we've had this many people in the studio since we had the Frederick Douglass reading.
Oh, yeah, right. Or maybe the Young at Heart chorus or something
that's
like
true.
that. Yeah, anytime we bring a chorus in.
So I broke their record.
Yeah, you have broken the record. 7 folks from the festival are in the studio with us today.
So firstly, how did this festival grow out of the cookout that you had happen last year? And why do it bigger this year?
Thank you very much. And good afternoon to your listeners. My name is Emmanuel Owusu, the crime in partner or partner in crime of Naefia Padi, who is the president of the Unity Heart Foundation. They all came about, I think, last year, and it was just a little cookout, and we tend to find out over here in our western part of the state, we don't have anything that celebrate the African culture or bring the African communities together to show our diversity and everything that we have to give, instead of all the time is all about feminine thing that happening in Africa and all that. So she brought the idea, and it was a good cause. So we all jump aboard, and it just became a bigger thing.
And a bigger thing in that it isn't just the countries of Africa that are being celebrated. It's the African diaspora, so the Caribbean as well. And we mentioned it's Jamaican Independence Day. That wasn't necessarily how it went the first time around, but this time it is a broader celebration, right?
The first time around, we have people from different background came on board, but it wasn't as big as this year because it was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just, not a lot of coordination was put in, but this time a lot of coordination and a lot of effort, a lot of brains came together to put up everything that's about to happen on Saturday.
Nice.
How many countries are being represented on Saturday?
As you know, about 52 countries in Africa.
Yeah, I know.
Plus all the Caribbeans. We have the Trinis. We have the Jamaicans. That's my other country. Today I'm a Jamaican.
And it's Jamaican Independence Day, as we mentioned.
We have some Spanish people too on board, so it's all diversity and all around people coming together to celebrate this event with us.
We heard tell as more and more guests trickled in as the show progressed that somebody came from Concord, all the way from Concord. Who's?
Not me.
Oh yeah, nice. But does everybody else live in Springfield?
I'm here. I live here now, but I was just working in.
Oh, you were coming back from where? Oh, cool. So does everybody live in Springfield?
Yes.
Oh. Tell us, were you all at the celebration last year?
No.
No. So tell us. I can't tell who's who.
So,
what's your
So I'm Latoy McDowell of Flavian's Kitchen. We teamed up with Naefia this year. She told us about it last year, but I think it was a little bit too late because we had some other things going on. But we teamed up this year, and we said, "Oh my gosh, such a great a great reason to come together." And so Doreen and I said, We'll help out. We'll chip in. We're going to have some delicious samples that we're going to be giving out to everyone that comes out. So,
do you know what that's going to be samples of yet?
Absolutely. We have our world famous jerk chicken.
Nice.
Everybody knows about that. We're going to have oxtail.
Yes.
But
we're
will
going
you
to
have saltfish and ackee?
We're having ackee and saltfish, our national dish. Absolutely.
You're speaking Khaleesi's language now.
And we're pairing that up with some fried festival, which you know about that. Okay. And so we're also going to have some rice and peas to go with the oxtail and the jerk chicken. And we're also going to have sorrel. This is a drink that we have over the holidays. We're gonna have bread pudding and a rum cake. So we're gonna let you guys taste Jamaica for real.
There we go.
That's amazing.
That's the stuff. Every time I go to one of the places, I show up too late and nobody's ever got saltfish and ackee, and I have cravings. We'll talk about that often.
Yes, we will.
But also, there's Nigerian food, there's Ghanaian food, there's a lot of different food things. Yes. Oh,
what's your name?
Yeah,
What's your name?
My name is Georgina Mensah. I came from Connecticut, and I'm also going to talk about last year I was here, and I think this year is going to be different because all the 52 countries that are coming from Africa, not all of them are coming the most. That will be representing. We are going to represent culture. Mm-hmm. Our culture is a way of life, and it include the way we dress, the way our food, and everything together. So if you happen to be there, you're actually going to witness what Africa means.
Nice.
Our food is different. Our dressings are different. The way we move, everything incorporated in our culture. And in this case, we are royalties are coming. So you're going to see the royalty, African royalty. I'm a Ghanaian. I believe our fellow Nigerians are also going to show you're going to eat eba. I'm not going to talk about the jollof because that is the...
No. We're not getting into the jollof.
I'm not getting into the jollof. But you're going to
and it's a debate about how to eat it.
The variety of
how to
food.
make it.
Make it.
You're going to get the variety of food that you have not heard before. You better know how to eat with your hands because you're going to dig in.
I think
the same way. You will get a lot of things coming in. So you will, if you actually want to participate and be part of Africans, come along. Make sure you have your pack full of money, though.
The event is free. The food is not.
Yes, the event is free. And so the proceeds are to kind of, what do you call it? To give to people donations. So the little that you put in that food is going to go to people who are fortunate or unfortunate to support people, to give back to the community. But we are going to provide the food. Yet again, the culture. Come and witness it.
I love it.
But there's other things that this festival is doing. You have a backpack giveaway, and you're doing giving away dorm supplies for people who are going off to college and may not be able to get supplies of that style. Can you talk a little bit about the other things that are happening at the festival?
Sure. My name is Jammie, and I'm coordinating for the event. And we have, like you said, the backpack giveaways. We also have, like she said, the food is free, so we're giving the food away. We have, for college students, we have some refrigerators that were so nicely donated. And we have laundry baskets that we filled with supplies that are a starter kit, spa kit. We have some grills that were given away as well. So there's a lot of giveaways, a lot of raffles, and it's rain or shine. We will be there. Come and enjoy with us.
And it's happening this Saturday. It's the African Community Festival. It's at Marshall Roy Field in Springfield from noon to 7. Is that the time?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, noon to 7. A nice, long, fun celebration. Jammie, were you the coordinator of the festival last year?
No, they brought me on board this year.
Mm-hmm. Any idea about how many people came last year and how many you're hoping to come this year?
Last year we have about, if I'm not mistaken, about 600 people turn out.
That's
a lot. And we didn't expect that many people. They showed up, and by God's grace, we were able to provide for everybody who showed up to, enjoy themselves. All the kids were happy, adults were happy, and we were fortunate. As soon as we finished the event, it started pouring. Pouring.
Last year was fabulous. This year, add it up. The fabulous, what word do you want to use? It's going to be heightened, yes. So, yes, everybody has to come. Come and witness the African and Jamaican diaspora.
Also, we have another event on Friday. We spoke with the city, and the city agreed to raise flag in honor of the Africans in our community. So on Friday at 10:30 in front of City Hall, 36 Court Street, there will be live flag raising to honor the Africans in our community.
Are they going to raise 52 flags?
No.
Or the Pan-African flag?
Pan-African
flag.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, Pan-African.
Yes.
Still cool.
It's very cool.
So I wanted to hear a little bit more about the Unity Hearts Foundation, which is the organization that is behind this happening, because you're kind of a new nonprofit, but doing a lot of work beyond community building in this way. Can you talk a little bit about what Unity Hearts Foundation does in the area, what it does for the people, and how you have events happening here and in Ghana?
Who's going to take this one?
Let me take it.
Emmanuel.
So, Unity Foundation was established sometime last year, but it wasn't as big as it is now. And the main motive for Unity Heart is to bring everybody together, also to help people who are in need. And in doing so, not just here in America, but also back home in Africa, where Naefia been coordinating to send money and send things to kids who are fortunate. Some parents can afford to buy even the school clothes for their kids. So she's been catering for all that, which is a very good initiative. So please, anybody who can support us in this way or in this kind of way, please come on board. And your money is not going to go into the gutter or it's going to go in vain. It'll cater for somebody who really needs it.
We're speaking about the African Community Festival happening this Saturday in Springfield. We did mention that it is Jamaican Independence Day, and Doreen did bring your Jamaican flag.
I did.
And we've been talking a little bit about the food of Jamaica. How are you going to be celebrating Jamaican Independence Day today, Doreen?
So we dressed according we dress accordingly. You see, we're representing in our colors. Yep. My nails also represent the flag.
Yep.
And we might have like a get together at home later on. But we're watching the races, we're watching the Olympics and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's all about togetherness. Alone, we can do so little, but together, we can do so much.
It's like the Olympics of Jollof rice.
No.
They all said it right.
No, we're not getting into this fight. We're not getting into this.
Who will win? Come to the African Community Festival this weekend.
I also think it's really cool that this is so close to the beginning of the school year, but it's also like right in the crux of a bunch of Independence Days, not just Jamaica, but like Benin's in there, and so like Trinidad's at the end of the month. Like, was that intentional too, or is it just like a happy? I mean, there's just the whole year is full of Independence Days because there was a lot of colonization, but like, is that one of the intents?
To do it now?
To do it now?
When so many
Or is it just because it's summer and it's finally nice here?
Not like that. Because, during the summer, everybody have their calendar packed, going to Disney and going all that. But this time, we're trying to bring it home.
Right on.
Instead of going all the way to Disney, all the way
Why go to Epcot Center when you can bring all of those nations represented here to Springfield?
Exactly. And you get better suga here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, also, I think I would say something else like we trying not only for the independent, the whole year the independent is being packed in, but it's just the togetherness for the African people to come together to learn among ourselves. We don't know much of ourselves. I think if we all come here, it's full of work, right?
Yeah.
This is the time for us to learn each other, get to know each other, get to know your culture more instead of forgetting. I think most of us forget about our culture. We want to show our offspring that we are rich of culture. Our food is very good. So they should rather come in, taste it, and go home and worry their parents to make it for them.
Naefia Padi, Emmanuel Owusu, Georgina Mensah, Latoy McDowell, Ali McDowell, Doreen Dawes, and Jammie Glen, all representing the African Community Festival happening this Saturday in Springfield. Thank you all so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Tomorrow, we've got a pile of live music, Kathleen Parks and Cheryl Bailey, and we'll talk with Kathy Stanton about the orange quabbin harvest. So much. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.